Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss books in horror. And today I'm here to talk to you about the books that I enjoyed the most during 2023.
It's coffee time!
It is that time of the year again. We all know 2023 is coming to an end and it is time to look back and see what have we read in 2023. I have read at this point, I think 103 books, so I am really happy with that, and I'm still gonna try to finish a couple of books before the year ends. But I wanted to make a list of some of my favorite things that I have read in 2023. I'm also gonna talk about a couple of my disappointments, and there's also a couple of honorable mentions. So let's go. Let's start with my biggest disappointments. So disappointments are not books that I hated, but are books that I was expecting to really enjoy, and then that was sadly not the case, and that made me really sad. And the first one that we're here to talk about is Sundial by Catriona Ward. Now, I really enjoyed The Last House on Needless Street. I thought it was such a good psychological horror book, and you're not sure exactly what's going on until the very end and everything is revealed, and then you get to understand a lot of things. And it is one of those books that you cannot even pitch it to people because you can so easily spoil the book. So if you love psychological horror, please give it a try. I mean, psychological thriller with horror, but I was so excited to read something else by the author, and I picked up Sundial, and don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the story, but I didn't love it as much as I expected. I think the problem was that the story was not as captivating for me as the first one was. I was not as engaged as I expected, and that's what I was a little bit kind of let down by it. But the writing style and the type of psychological terror is still really unique to the author, and I really enjoy her writing. So I'm definitely gonna try more things by her. It's just this one sadly was a little bit disappointing for me. I Always Find You. This is another one where I knew the author. I feel like this list is basically all authors that I had previously read books by and really enjoyed them, and then I picked up another book by them and they didn't work for me. In this case, I absolutely love Let the Right One In. I think that is not a mystery. Everybody in my channel probably knows that by now because I keep talking about the book. But it's one of my favorite vampire books because I think it's just so unique and original, and it's so atmospheric and horrible but kind of heartwarming at the same time. So I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to read something else by the author, and probably this was not the best choice because this is kind of like a, not really a memoir, but it is the author's personal life mixed with fiction, and it didn't work for me at all. I was not invested, I was not interested, and it was a big letdown for me, but I still want to try again more things by the author. The Lunch Party by Lauren A. Forey, and this is a book that I was really excited about because it is a whodunit murder mystery in a closed hotel in the moon, and so I thought it was going to be such a great fun kind of Agatha Christie scenario where people are trapped inside of a hotel, the first hotel ever in the moon, so they cannot really call for help or anything. They're stranded there, somebody has been killed, they need to solve this murder, and I thought it was going to be so engaging and so fun, but unfortunately it wasn't. And I also don't think that they utilized as much as they could have the fact that they were on the moon. This murder mystery could have happened anywhere else and it would have worked fine. I think the problem was also that from all the array of characters that we had here, I think there were only 3 or 4 that were really standing out for me, and the rest kind of all blended in together, and it was hard for me to tell them apart, which doesn't really make such kind of murder mystery stories really entertaining if you are confusing the characters all the time. I know it's really hard to make like a book where you have 10 different characters and you get the reader on board with all of them, and it's really easy to tell them apart. I know it's not easy, but it just didn't work in this book. Echo by Thomas Oldgewalt, and this one is another one where I had read previously Hex and I really enjoyed it, and I was really excited to try something else by the author. This was a winter thriller that takes place in a mountain. It's the Antarctica, I believe it was, and there are 2 people that are exploring the mountain. They have an accident and then only one of them makes it out alive, ends up in the hospital, and he starts to like slowly remember things that happened to them while they were in the mountain. And I thought it was going to be such a good like horror thriller, and it was gonna be like so engaging, and it was just so boring, you guys. It was just so boring. The book was also just filled with paragraphs and paragraphs that didn't really add anything to the story, and so it was just dragging and dragging, and I was so done with it. I do think that the story that the book presents is quite creepy and interesting, you know, the idea at its core. I just don't love the execution. By the middle of the book, I already knew I was not gonna get on board with it because I was already in the middle of it and I was just not interested. I did push myself to finish it, just for the sake of finishing it and see if maybe there was some twists or turns coming that would make me enjoy the book at the end of the day, but that didn't happen. Now let's go to a couple of honorable mentions. So my favorite romance that I have read in 2023, I just wanted to mention a romance here because I have been reading a couple. I have not read that many, and I did not want to mention Heartstopper or Red Wine Royal Blue because they have been, for the most part, rereads, but honestly, Heartstopper Volume 5 that came out not long ago, I read it, binged it in one sitting, and it's probably one of my favorite volumes of the graphic novel. Absolutely loved it so much. So I wanted to mention another romance here for people that are looking for rom-coms, and I didn't want to mention one that was like a Christmas rom-com because those I feel like most people only want to read it during Christmas season. So I chose Something Wild and Wonderful by Anita Kelly because this is a book where two male characters find each other doing a trail, trying to in their own way find themselves again and kind of move on from things in their lives that they're a little bit running from, and they get to meet, and I thought it was really interesting because it's not only about their love story but also about all of the hardships and things that they're going through and how they're dealing with it, and they're going in this journey through the wilderness. So it's perfect also to read during summer, or if you're going on a vacation to the woods. I think this is a great read for that. Then we have my favorite novella that I read in 2023, and that is 2 Minutes with the Devil by Matt Michelli. And this one honestly gave me like Joe Hill, like it's Stephen King vibes, Joe Hill like Black Phone kind of style, and I really enjoyed it because it's exactly my cup of tea. You know, you have a small town where kids are going missing and we need to figure out what's going on and who's taking these kids, and it was just so engaging and entertaining. I really wish this would have been a full-length novel because I was having so much fun with it. So if there is like a novella that I read this year that I urge you to read, it's this one. Favorite middle grade is It Found Us by Lindsay Curry, and I had such a blast with this one. I thought it was quite dark for being a middle grade, and the majority of the book does take place at a cemetery, which has such a wonderful atmospheric setting, and it offers a lot of cool scenes. We follow Hazel, who is a 12-year-old that loves to solve mysteries, and one of her brothers friends goes missing, so she is determined to find him. The last place he was seen was at the cemetery when they were playing a hide-and-seek game, and so they return a lot to the cemetery to try to figure out what happened to him. And I think this was wonderful, and there is a wonderful like backstory to the cemetery and things that happened. So if you want to read a middle grade, this is the best one that I have read, for me, in my opinion, for 2023. And I think it was also a 2023 release, so some of you might not have read it yet. And now we have a list of my 10 favorite books that I read in 2023. The first one that I would like to mention is a book that I saw was being really hyped in BookTube, also a lot in Book Talk, and I finally decided to pick it up and I did not regret it, and that is Mary by Nat Cassidy. And this was such a unique take on different subgenres of horror that all start to merge together, and it was absolutely fantastic to read. Mary is a middle-aged woman that is currently kind of struggling accepting herself as she is getting older, and she gets a call from her aunt who is sick and is asking her for help, you know, to take care of her, take care of the house. And so she decides to move in for a while with her aunt so she can help her out. And while she's there, she starts to remember a lot of things from her childhood and her hometown, and a lot of things are coming back to her. This was such a interesting story, and when you think you have things figured out, then the author keeps twisting and twisting and keeps giving you more and more horror elements. And the horror images you're gonna get in your head are quite disturbing. So I would say this is for people that are a bit more experienced when it comes to reading horror books. I would say this is a mix between true crime and psychological horror, and you guys know those are things that I really love. So I love to see those two subgenres also kind of merge together. I really love it, and I love the writing style, but there is like a change in tone towards the middle, and let me just say I loved more the first part of the book than the second part, but it doesn't mean that I did not enjoy it. So I'm really excited to get to read his new book that I finally was able to get, which is Nestling, so that's probably going to be one of my first reads for next year. The Drift by C.J. Tudor, and I really enjoy her thrillers. I think she gets better and better each time, and I am so excited for her new one. And this year she published The Drift, which is a horror thriller in which basically humanity is struggling to survive after a virus has wiped out the majority of the population. The book is also set in very cold, snowy winter, so it's perfect also for winter season. There are different POVs in this book, but fear not, because the author introduces them slowly and gives the reader time to get used to them, so the POVs, in my opinion, were never confusing, and it's something that I really appreciate in a book that is told from different perspectives. All of our characters after a snowstorm are trapped somehow somewhere, so they are in different locations, but they're all trapped, and we're all trying to figure out who they are, how are they going to get out of the situation that they find themselves in, plus they're still dealing with the virus that is still spreading. The characters are being put in really tough positions where they have to make really difficult choices. You know, sometimes even like who will live and who will die. And I love when characters are put under pressure and are trapped in places and they have to make decisions like this. So for me, it was really interesting from like a character depth perspective as well. All the chapters also end with cliffhangers, which meant that every time I finish a chapter, I really wanted to start the next one. And there's a lot of secrets that are going to be uncovered in the book. I really enjoyed it. I think it's been one of my favorites of hers. So if you have not read it yet, I say it's still perfect for the winter. We're still in winter, so it is a great horror thriller. The Screaming Staircase by Jonathan Stroud. This is the first book in the Lockwood & Co. series, and I wanted to include this one here because this book has brought me so much joy. I remember a long time ago people started telling me to read this series, and it's taken me so long to get to it, but people said, you know, it's kind of like Harry Potter but with horror, and I kind of see that because you do have three people that are working in Lockwood & Co., which is a company that is trying to get rid of ghosts. We live in a world where ghosts exist and people know that they exist, and teenagers are the ones that are able to really see them and connect with them and kind of banish them because teenagers are more open to the supernatural. And so we follow three characters that are kind of like forced to become best friends in this world, and I can totally see that comparison, you know, between Harry, Hermione, and Ron and these three characters. But it has its own vibe. I mean, it's not exactly like Harry Potter, but I can see why people were comparing it with Harry Potter, which is a book series that I really enjoyed. And I had such a blast with this one. There are different investigations. You get to know different type of ghosts. And in the first book, especially, the author is establishing the characters, kind of letting us know their backgrounds and kind of setting up all the rules for the universe. It's not complicated or anything, so worry not if you are scared of like high fantasy, things like that. It's not like that at all. And I love to see, you know, how the three main characters are so different. They have such different attitudes and traits to them, and they can use that to their advantage to solve cases. And I thought the cases were really interesting to see. And book 2 was also fantastic, so this is a series that I am really excited to continue in 2024. Buzzle House by Duncan Roulston, and I love this one because it was kind of like a weird mix between National Treasure and Saw. And as the title suggests, we have a house that it's a puzzle. So let me explain. We have several strangers that are all kind of requested to go to this house because they are potentially going to inherit this rich man's property. And the thing is, these people don't really even know this millionaire that has put them in their will, but they go because obviously they're interested in the cash. So when they get there, the doors get closed and they are put through a series of rooms that are basically escape rooms. What they have to do is solve a puzzle to get to the next room. And I'm a sucker for that. You put a group of strangers in a locked location, and especially if they have to solve puzzles, I'm here for it. It is what it is. I'm a sucker for that. And I thought this was done so great. Like, all the different rooms were completely different. And they were so entertaining, and it was so tense, and it was so exciting to see how they were trying to solve the puzzle in order to survive and get to the next room. But the catch is that, exactly like in the escape rooms movies and also kind of in the Saw franchise at times, there is probably only going to be one survivor. So I really enjoyed this book. If you love escape rooms and stuff like that, or the Saw franchise, this is definitely one that you need to check. Five Survive by Holly Jackson. You guys know that I love this one. I read it recently in the month of November. So Five Survive is about a group of friends that are traveling in their RV, and they are driving to the coast where they want to spend spring break with their friends. And so we start to get to know the characters while they are in the RV, get to know their names, their backgrounds, their hopes and dreams, sometimes even their secrets already. And the thing is, they get lost. And their phones lose connection, so they cannot really use GPS anymore to see where they're going, and they end up stranded in the middle of a road in the darkness. And they also get a flat tire, so they're trapped there. They cannot go anywhere, they don't know where they are, their phones are not working. So we have an isolated scenario with a group of people that are friends that are trapped inside of this RV. Love the setting. But the twist here is that there is a sniper that is pointing at them, and the sniper tells them that there is a secret that one of them has that he wants. He wants that secret, he wants that confession, and if they don't give him what he wants, he's gonna shoot them one by one. And they have only until sunrise to get this done. And so the book is divided in chapters that go hour per hour, and it makes the tension just raise up because, you know, they're running out of time, and they are, you know, talking to each other and trying to figure out what's the secret, who has the secret. And I thought it was really entertaining. I love the twists, and I had a lot of fun with it. And we have yet more YA. I mean, YA has taken the cake this year, and I'm not even mad about it. We have Getting Away with Murder by Catherine Foxfield. So Saffron is working for a new company that is opening up the doors really soon, and they offer like really personalized, immersive escape room experiences that are all kind of controlled by an AI that knows what you like, what you enjoy, and creates and develops these really specific escape rooms just for you. And so Saffron is talking to the AI one day, and they are trying to figure out, you know, who would survive a horror movie, and, you know, they're kind of like just talking about it as something harmless. But then the AI decides to invite people to test this theory. So a couple of people are invited to the escape rooms before they are ready to be launched, and they go there and they realize that they are trapped now, and they have to go through all of the rooms in order to make it out alive. Will they all make it out alive? We don't know. But it's again one of those where you have escape rooms in a group of people. In this case, they don't really actually know each other really well. Only a couple of them know each other, and they have to go through the escape rooms while secrets from their lives and their pasts are coming up. I really loved it, and if you're looking for a horror book that has escape rooms that is not in adult horror, because Puzzle House is adult, this one might, you know, fulfill that itch for you, because it's a really good YA horror, and it has escape rooms. The Only One Left by Riley Sager, and I'm really excited that this year I'm able to include his book on my top 10, because The House Across the Lake was not my cup of tea. I didn't hate it, but it also didn't make it into my top 10. So Riley Sager's back with his mojo, and I really enjoyed this one. The story is told from the perspective of two different women that have a lot more in common than they anticipated. The Hope family was brutally murdered in their home in 1929, and there was only one survivor. That was their daughter, 17-year-old Lenora. Now, Lenora is an old woman that lives kind of like in her home. She hasn't left the house basically since the murders, and she is looking for someone that can take care of her because she has a lot of impediments. She cannot talk, she can barely move, and so they decide to get a caretaker for her, and that is when Kit comes into the picture. So Kit is a young woman that is looking for a new job, and she is really desperate, so she decides to take this job to take care of Lenora. As she is taking care of Lenora, she's going to slowly start discovering more things about Lenora's past, the Hope family, what happened the night of the massacres, and it is such an interesting kind of like whodunit mystery, and I was there for every single bit of it. And there's so many twists and turns. I mean, you expect that from Riley Sager, but this one has a lot of twists, and some of them, I'm telling you, you're not gonna see them coming. So if you're looking for a really good mystery thriller that has a whodunit scenario and that is similar to The Turn of the Screw, this one is definitely one that you need to check out. Let's Play Murder by Kezia Lupo. So this was a surprise for me. I picked this one up because it was YA horror and it had VR games, and I thought that was such a cool thing to bring to horror, and I have not really read horror books that had VR in them, so I decided to give it a shot, and I had such a good time. Again, if you have not noticed that this is one of my favorite tropes, we have a group of people that have been kind of all invited to this game. It is a game that is really difficult to get access to. It is a VR game, and so we have a group of people that are ready to play the game. They're really excited, and the game starts with them entering this house, and someone has been murdered, and they have to solve the mystery, the whodunit, and that is how they win the game. So it all starts kind of like innocent, and they think they're just there to test this new game and solve the mystery of, you know, the who killed this person. They think it's all staged. But then soon they realize that actually their lives are in danger. And this was so much fun. It was so inventive, and I love to see all the different rooms that our characters are going through, how they're trying to solve the mystery, and it also had a lot of heart. It was kind of like Cluedo meets Ready Player One in a way. I don't know, I really enjoyed it, and I think it's really addictive, so like I could not put it down. I needed to keep reading when I was reading the book, and I love the main character because she was so real, and she had also many problems in the real world that were affecting her decisions during the game, and I thought, you know, the characters, well, were really good, like fleshed out. All That's Left in the World by Eric J. Brown, and you guys know this is my new obsession. I love this book. This is one of my new favorites, and I cannot wait to reread it because the second book is coming out earlier next year, and I'm gonna reread this next year, that's for sure. And I love it. I can picture it to you as The Walking Dead. Imagine The Walking Dead, but you have now queer teenagers that are walking along through a post-apocalyptic world. So in the book, we have had some sort of pandemic that has wiped out the majority of the population in the world, and there are few people left, and resources are starting to run out. So the shops have been all plundered, and there is not much left. So a lot of people are trying to survive as best they can. And as the same kind of thing that you can see in The Walking Dead is that there's different type of people. Some of them have decided to form groups, some of them might be friendly, some of them might be dangerous, and in the center of it all we have two teenage boys that meet at random one day, and they start to get to know each other, and they start to learn about their sexuality at the same time that they are trying to navigate this new world order, and they are faced with many dangers, challenges. And I love that the book was told from both perspectives, both POVs, from our both male characters, because it gave the reader the opportunity to also see what they were thinking but they were not saying about each other, about the world, about their past, and you were kind of seeing their secrets before they share them with the other one. And it was really interesting. I loved it. I thought it was horrific at times when it had to be. It was very intense. It ripped my heart out at times, but also it lifted me up. It was really heartwarming and cute at times. So this was just so beautiful, and I cannot wait for the sequel. The Midnight Game by Cynthia Murphy. You guys know this is one of the first books that I read in 2023 and immediately fell in love with it. I could not stop reading this book. It is a book that has mixed media. It has like chat room conversations. So there is this place called Deadit where people, you know, can chat, and there's a group there that is kind of trying to work through myths and legends and debunk them, and they decide to play a game called the Midnight Game. So the Midnight Game, they think it's just like an old tale, and what you do is you call the Midnight Man. You have to be in a trapped place. You have to hold a candle. It has to be like a real wax candle. It cannot be anything LED or technology related. You're not allowed to use your phone. There's a set of rules that are listed before the game starts so the reader is ready. And you have a group of strangers that have met in Deadit and now are doing this kind of dare to prove that this legend of the Midnight Man is just a bunch of hocus pocus. And the thing is, they start playing the game and they realize the game is real, the Midnight Man is real, it's coming for them, and they don't know what to do now to escape because they are not allowed to stop playing before sunrise, otherwise they're dead. And you're wondering, Kasha, this is again a group of people that are trapped somewhere. They're playing games and they need to survive. Yes, it is. I mean, I'm just here to admit that this is my jam, this is my trope. This is what I love. I love groups of people that are put somewhere to suffer. It is what it is, and I love that, you know, secrets are coming out and they have to work together. Most of these books have people that they don't really know each other, so you don't know who to trust, and I just love that. I love that. I love the thrill. I love the thrill of that. And this has been definitely one of my favorite books of 2023. I loved it, and Cynthia's new book is coming out in January. I have it pre-ordered, and I'm so excited to get to it. So yeah, this is definitely one of my faves for 2023. And these were my favorite books that I read in 2023. I also added in a couple of honorable mentions and some of my most disappointed ones so that you get like a more of a full kind of summary of my reading in 2023. I no longer do worst books or worst movies of the year because I just don't want to drag down authors or books just because I didn't enjoy them, so I'd rather focus on the ones that I really enjoyed. I used to do that in the past, but I stopped at some point because I just don't think it's fair, because we are very different readers, we all love very different writing styles and stories, and I just don't think it's fair. It's just my opinion, but yeah, that's why I don't do them, in case you were wondering. So let me know down below if you've read any of these books and which has been like your top 5 for 2023, the best books that you have read. Let's talk about it in the comments down below. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all as always in the next coffee time. Bye!